Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Tim Stating the Obvious for an Obvious Minute. And in this episode, we're going to try something a little bit different. Have you ever thought about how to start a career? Have you ever thought about that you want to change or transition your careers? Or are you already in a career and you're worried and you're concerned about how are you going to advance your career and move up and better yourself? And so you can better your organization. So in this episode, we're going to talk about career planning, and we're going to talk about a way to go about doing it. This is Tim Staten with Tim Stating the Obvious. What is this podcast about? It's simple. You are entitled to great leadership everywhere you go, whether it's to church, whether it's to work, whether it's at your house, you are entitled to great. All right, so jumping right into this episode, what we're going to talk about is the infographic that I developed that is on our right-hand side of the screen. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this is a strategy. This is a strategy on how you can understand your career timeline better and your career path a little bit more efficiently. You're not just spitballing it and kind of hoping that, things are going to fall into place for you. So this is the model that I came up with. So you have to understand yourself. Then you have to do some research and know what you're getting into. Then you have to make decisions based on data-driven information so you can make the best decision possible. And then you have to act on all that information. So going back to understanding yourself. So if you've listened to some of the longer podcasts that we've had, I've talked about the Berkman Report a lot. I'm a big fan of it because what it does is it talks about who you are as a person, the type of environments that you like to work in, the type of jobs that you would be best suited for, and when you don't do so well, and the environments that you'll be in that you probably won't succeed because it goes against of who you kind of are as a person. Now, I will tell you up front, it is a test to take, but I think if you can afford to do it, go ahead and do it. If your organization will pay for you to do it, so that way they can better understand how you fit into the organization, I would ask your HR folks to see if they can pay for it as well. And just to show you a brief snapshot on how this actually works is right here. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is a part of my results, right? So it goes into whether you like to be directly involved or indirectly involved in the things. Are you task-oriented or are you people-oriented, right? So in your upper left-hand quadrant, you have your implementing styles, and those activities typically are taking action, seeing and finishing a product, from cradle to grave. You like to solve problems and you like to be practical about how you do it. And you like to work through people, but you also like to direct, right? So it's direct involvement, but more task oriented. Then your lower quadrant, you have your organizing, right? So you like to schedule, you like to do the detailed work, keep close contact with people. I like to work with numbers and systems. And then in your blue quadrant right over there, that's your creative types, right? So those people like to do a strategic planning and deal in the abstract realm, thinking of new approaches to things. They like to be innovative, and they like to work with ideas. And then you have the enterprising realm, right? And those are direct involvement with direct people. And those are the coaching, mentoring types. Those are the leadership type of activities that you would typically have people fall into. And of course, I have an asterisk on this one, so that means that I am highly into the direct involvement and I'm people oriented as well. So the Berkman Report can really teach you a lot about yourself, and it can teach you a lot about what you would like to do and go into. And we'll go into some of the jobs here in a second. The next thing that I would like to bring up is your Myers-Briggs type indicator. So if you could take this test, it's not the best test to take if you want to know, to the T of who you are as a person. That's kind of like the Berkman Report. The Myers-Briggs type indicator, that's just a generalization of who you kind of are as a person and what things you like to do, how you are as an introvert or an extrovert. Not necessarily if you like to be around people, but how you charge and you get energy and how you give off energy. right? So that's a good test to take, and you can find a whole bunch of them free online, and they're pretty accurate. You just have to use your gut instinct when you take them. The other one that I'd like to point out is a free version, and that's called ONET Interest Profiler, and that you can find that on the Department of Labor website. And the interesting part about this one is this one's kind of like the Berkman report, except for it will tell you what jobs and career fields that you would best be fitted for based on your personality and the things that you like to do. And that's completely free. You can go on there. You can Google ONET Interest Profile and it will pop up on the Google search. You click on it and you can take the test. You don't have to provide any personal information other than answering the questions, and then it will pop up at the end screen and it will tell you exactly what types of jobs that are out there for you. And it even gives you some Indeed lists, some LinkedIn lists, and people actually looking for those types of jobs as well. So it's a good place to start to understand who you are as a person and how you kind of fit in into the professional world, no matter what job it is. All right. So I will preface this by saying every job is important, right? So whether, you are in the food industry versus a doctor or a lawyer, every single job is important and everybody has things that they have to do. And you can make a lot of money doing a lot of what we call blue collar jobs. And I highly encourage people to get into skilled trades because that's what I think our society is lacking. Now, going into your research part, I would recommend you look at the Department of Labor website, because on there you could type in different jobs. They'll tell you state by state, nationally, where the jobs are going. If it is a dead market, right? So let's say you want to get into, you want to be a quilt maker, right? So you want to make quilts and you want to sell quilts and quilt parts. And I just thought of that because right down the road, there's actually a quilting shop. And it's busy during the day. But you can take a look at it, and the Department of Labor will actually tell you if it is a growing field or not a growing field. So when you get to understand yourself, you don't want to plan a career that is dying off, because you might get in 10, 15 years and you'll find it hard to find a job or even maintain one just because the market isn't there. The other piece I would take a look at is salary.com. Now, I'm not endorsed by any of these people. They're just tools that I like to take a look at. So I'm going to show you real quick on the salary.com page. Now, this is a pretty cool website because what it allows you to do is you can type in a job that you're interested in doing. And on there, it'll tell you the national average. So you can see what the bottom 10% of folks make, and you can see what the top 90% your career field would make, and then about what the average person makes. Now, the cool thing about this is if you go over here in the location side, you can actually type in your location. So you can pick a location. So I'm just going to pick one at the top, Florence, Alabama, right? So when it pulls up Florence, Alabama, it's going to tell you annually the average salary, right? Now, don't confuse how much you make versus cost of living in the area that you live. So you could be making a lot of money in an area that has a lower cost of living. So if I was to pull up like a New York City job, it would be paid a lot more, but your cost of living is also a lot more. So it kind of equals out. So just take a look at that. The other thing you can do is you can type in your education. Say you have a high school diploma or technical certificate, and that will also tell you how much more your salary should be. And then, if you have people that will work for you or who you report to, and then your overall performance rate, it kind of calculates what the average person who has those same qualifications that you do would make. Okay. So that's pretty cool for salary. So if you're trying to understand, okay, I want to get into this field, for this one, I pulled up ambulance paramedic in Florence, Alabama. So on a yearly average, they make about $40,000 a year. Another cool thing on this website is if we take a look and we go down on this, it will tell you job postings. So you can use the job postings and the duty descriptions on these here to kind of understand. Let me fix this for you. You can use this here to understand what skills they're looking for. What is your average day going to look like? What is it that they're going to ask you to do in that type of career field? And you can look at that when we get into our actual timeline and career planning phase, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But this is just for general research purposes. The other thing I like about this website is that you can also take a look at your benefits page here. So when you pull up your benefits page, it will break down your pay into how much you're going to make on your base salary. Okay. And then you know what a typical bonus would look like. And then it goes into how much you would pay into Social Security, your 401, any disability, any health care, pension plans, time off, and everything else. And it gives you a total compensation value. So a lot of people may think, well, I'm only going to make 39. But in reality, with all your benefits and your bonuses, you're probably going to come out making $60,000 a year. And if you're getting paid salary by the hour, you work overtime and you can make a lot more. So that just kind of gives you a rough idea of what you would be making in that career field. And you could type in any type of career field in here. It'll pull it up and you can take a look at it for that. The other thing that I would highly encourage for people to take a look at is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So in there, it'll tell you which states are hiring for the career field you're looking at, what the unemployment rates look like for that area, how many businesses are actually looking for people. And it gives you a lot of data that you can sift through in that career field and go, okay, well, maybe I live in Georgia and there's really not that much of a career field, but Montana really needs ambulance drivers. So I could probably move to Montana, get a good paying job, move out there and start my career. And at least from there, you get your foot in the door and you can move over to a different state if you want to and settle down to an area that you really, really want to get to. But if you're looking at getting into a career, you got to understand the data behind it and understand where the market is going and look at the trends. Don't just look at the last year or the last 2 years. Look at the last 5 and 10 years and see where it's going. See the growth and see where the deficits are and see where the need is. I would always recommend for people to go to where the need is because that's where you're going to be gainfully employed. You're going to get a lot of job fulfillment out of it. And 2, you're probably going to do better because you want to be there, right? So that goes down into the decide factor. So after you understand who you are as a person, you get to know your the market and you've done your research that you're going into. Now you need to make a decision. Is this what I want to do? Yes or no? And then based off of that, you just need to act. But before you act, you need to make sure that all your decisions are based off of solid data. Because solid data will, one, give you peace of mind if you're on the fence of, well, maybe I should change my career field. You know, I'm late in the game. Maybe, you know, other people are going to be better at it than I am. They have a lot more experience. But the data will tell you maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe there's just a need in that market and you need to go work there. Or maybe it'll tell you, maybe I need to choose a different market. Maybe I need to choose a different career because it's going to die in the next couple of years and finding a job is going to be hard. So whatever decision you make needs to be based off of data and not off of emotion, even though it's hard because I know if you have a family, you're going to be thinking, am I going to be able to make enough money to provide? Am I going to have enough health care to take care of myself and my family and all the things that go into choosing a new career? But if you're just starting out and you have no idea and you have no other responsibilities, you just got to make a decision. Is this what I want to do? Yes or no? And that goes into the act stage. And you need to have a timely strategy. And what I mean by that is you need to have a career roadmap. And what a career roadmap is this thing right here. So this is an example that I drafted up today. And this is just a generic blanket roadmap. So on the left-hand side, you have your current status, right? So in your current status, you're either in a job that doesn't fit your personality or your skills, and you're lacking job satisfaction. The end state is I want to get to a career that is fulfilling for me personally and professionally, that has the potential to meet my financial long-term goals. Okay. So if that is your end state, then I would recommend that you either have a roadmap laid out that either goes from 1 to 10 years or 1 to 6 years. 5 years is good. And I'll get into why I say 6 years more importantly here in a minute. But over on the left-hand side, you see that we have the 3 categories, right? So you have your skills category, then you have your education category, then you have your opportunities category. And your timeline goes across, right? So you start out in the red with year 1, and you end up in the green on year 5, right? So red meaning you're just starting out, you're getting better in the yellow, and the green is where you're really finding your foothold at the 5-year mark. And then from there, you can, at the 6-year mark, the reason why it's purple is because you need to reassess. You need to reassess, where do you want to do for the next 5 years? What do you want to do for the next 10 years? Depending on whatever your timeline is, that's what you need to reassess. So looking at, we'll start with the education, right? So every job has prerequisites. Every job has initial requirements that require you to have some type of skill or level of education to obtain that job. And through your research, you need to find out what that is, so that way you can effectively meet that. And the reason why it has a red money mark is because it's going to cost you some money. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you got to spend money on yourself and invest in yourself so you can get rewarded in the future for it. I don't know how many times I've heard, well, I can't afford to go back to college because it costs too much. I can't afford to go take this course because it costs too much. I would say call your local community college. I'm pretty sure that they would offer scholarships at some point, depending on your financial status. And a lot of the classes that I've seen really at your local community college, if you're going for a technical skill and a trade skill, are between $200 and $800. And that's for the entire course. And that's either for a year or 2 years. So that's the reason why we have either technical school or college here in the first year when you decide the way you're going to go, right? So if you're getting out of high school and you're going into college, you're obviously way back here on the left-hand side, not even on this yet. But as you become a senior going into your last year of college, you're going to get into that 1 year mark of, okay, I've made a decision, I've committed, now I'm going after this career or this career field. So, that could take, 4 years, it could take 8 years, it could take 6 months, it could take 9 months. It depends on the career field and depends on what they require, right? So up here on the skills portion, we have professional certifications. Now, I have two $sign marks on that. One is green, one is red, right? Because professional certifications cost money. Some of them are expensive, some of them are not, but they're always reoccurring. There's very few professional certifications out there now that last a lifetime. Every 3 years, you got to get recertified to stay current in the industry. So it's going to cost you money up front, but in the back end, when you apply for jobs, if they're looking for those specific skills and those professional certifications, you're going to get extra money because you have what they're looking for, right? So it kind of goes hand in hand. The other thing here I have down here is apprentice hours, right? So on apprentice hours, if you're going into a trade, sometimes you're going to need to have to put in the hours like clinicals. Those are apprentice hours. If you're going to be a barber, you're going to have to, cut hair on some people and get in the hours and learn the craft and the trade and be supervised by somebody else who's a professional, who's a certified barber. And that way they can say, yes, you know how to cut hair before you can get certified. So those are some things that you look into year 1 of making that commitment. The other thing down here I like to point out is your resume refinement. In your resume refinement, with that what that is you're going to update your resume based on the education you're getting, based on the skills that you're refining, and you're making sure that you're marketable. And I would even, recommend that you outsource that resume to a couple of professional agencies and say, hey, does this meet the test? Or find somebody who's in the career field now and ask them, does this meet the requirements, or what do I need to do to change it? So you want to refine your resume, and then you want to do professional networking. You want to find people in the career field. You want to reach out to them and you want to talk to them, get to know them on a personal level, and then develop that bond. Because a lot of jobs now, they come from, who knows you and your reputation with them. So if they know that you're in school and you're a go-getter and you're bettering yourself and you're networking out with them, then they're going to be more likely to recommend you for a job after you apply. Or they just may recommend you for a job and someone might reach out to you from a recruiter or HR, human resources, or somebody else on that aspect. So as we go into year 1 and we go into year 2, right? So again, with certifications, you have to have continuing education credits, right? Why? Because they want you to maintain your currency in that skill. So that's going to cost some money. Some of it may be free. If you go to conventions, sometimes that counts, sometimes it doesn't. But you want to make sure that you're continuing your education so you're always getting better. You're always getting smarter. Never settle for, oh, I made it. I achieved that certification. I achieved that skill. I achieved that degree. Well, there's always more to learn. And the moment you stop being able to learn is when you've really reached your potential and you've told people, I'm good. I don't want to do anything else. Right. And then you also, in your opportunities, you want to get hired in the career field because you've done the networking. You've done the resume refinement. So you can land that job and get your foot into the career you're looking for. Right. So then again, you want to update your professional certifications. Take a look at, because now that you've got the job, you want to look at, okay, one, how can I learn my organization? And as soon as this thing goes away, you'll see it. And I have an asterisk there, or an exclamation point there, because it's important to know how your organization runs, how they operate, and how they conduct business. If you don't understand your organization, then you're probably not going to do so well at your job. So I highly encourage you, as soon as you land that job, learn your organization, learn the ins, the outs, the politics, the culture, whatever it is about that place that makes it tick, you need to understand it, because that's going to make you a better employee. Learn that organization, and then find out what they require of people. So you may get that entry level job, but then you tell yourself, you know what? By year 5, I want to make it, to a supervisor level. Well, what certifications do you need to do along the way to get there? What do you have to do to better yourself to get there? And then with this learning your organization, I have find a mentor and coach. And the reason why that's purple is because these mentors and coaches, sometimes the human resources department have a talent management division, and they can assign you a senior person in the organization to mentor you and coach you to develop the talent you have, so you don't leave the organization because they've invested money and time in you, right? So they want to keep you as an employee. They don't want to lose you, because it's going to cost 3 times as much to hire a new employee than it is to keep you on. So find a mentor. Find someone who's going to tell you the real information and the real truth about yourself and what you need to do to get better. And that's not your supervisor or your boss's boss. That's somebody outside your chain, outside your development, who looks in and helps you and provides that input that you need so that you can become better. And, I've always, said coaches and mentors are invaluable in the workplace. Make sure you get one. If you don't have one, find someone and ask them. Maybe it's someone you like or you respect or you look up to. Be like, hey, You develop that relationship with them, and then you can start asking the harder questions. But you got to have that coach and mentorship to help you grow yourself and grow in that organization that you're a part of, right? So then, you look at those job specific, requirements to land you that next thing. And, do you need a master's degree? Do you need a doctorate degree? What are the things that organization is looking for to make you want to make that organization want to promote you and move you up in the ladder and move you up in the food chain in that organization, right? And then while you're there and you're learning about your organization, work hard, be a team player, help people out. If you see someone struggling on something and you've caught up on your tasks, you can say, hey man, you need help with that. But don't just be that careerist, right? You got to have a career plan, but you got to be professional. You can't just be a careerist. I'm going to only do those things that are going to get me ahead. That will show. So work hard to be a team player, but you got to have a plan of where you want to end up, because those are your goals and those are important. And share your goals with your mentor, with your coach, right? So as you're developing that relationship with your mentor and your coach, and you're looking at the skills that you need to enhance and better yourself and continuing your education, and you're working hard at your organization, then you're going to come to a point where you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to talk to the human resources department and the talent management division, and I'm going to ask them, what do I need to do? What jobs are available? Because you've kind of understood your job. You're in the third year of it and you're looking to move up and get more responsibility. What are the roles that you need to do? I would ask them, are there jobs that you need to have in that organization to achieve your goals? Because they might have a career timeline already for you. They might already have a career plan for you where you say, if you want to be a vice president, or if you want to be an executive, then you must have these roles and these responsibilities along the way. So ask them, because they're going to know, right? And then you need to say, you're going to come to a point where you're either going to move up, right? So that's the green one. You're going to get promoted, or maybe they're going to move you laterally in the company to give you that additional role that you need to develop you so you can move up in the organization. Or sometimes maybe you need to change your organization because there's nowhere for you to go, because you've reached all you can reach. And that's okay. I've had people that I've worked with, and they've had to move out of the organization because there was nowhere for them to advance to. And it was more beneficial for them to leave the organization and get hired on somewhere else. And I celebrate that, because that means, one, I've developed those folks so that they can be successful somewhere else and achieve success and move up and move on and do bigger and better things. So, those are the three things that you're going to come to a head on, but you got to have that planned in. And then the other thing is if you do get, promoted and you move laterally, you can't just be like, I achieved status. No, you still have to work hard. You still have to be a team player, and you still have to move on, right? So that way you can achieve the next thing. But you always have to come back to a point, and that's where we talk about year 6 in the purple, is a reassessment, right? Are you achieving the goals that you want to achieve, and are you doing the things that are going to make you successful? Now, there's a professional way and a careerist way to do this that we talked about. Yes, you have to understand the system and the politics and the culture, and that's why I said learn your organization. But you also have to reassess, is this what I still want to do? Did factors in my life change? Have I changed as a person? Do I want to do something else? You still have to understand who you are as a person constantly. So you're constantly going back through this cycle that we talked about before with your career mapping, right? So you have to understand who you are, understand where you are, and know where you want to go, know what you want to do, decide on that, and then come up with another plan. And that's why it's a circular cycle, because you're constantly reassessing and reevaluating. I have noticed in my personal life that people become stagnant and they get frustrated because they don't understand who they are and they don't know where they want to go. And they don't even have a plan on how to even achieve that. So even if you were to take this example career map, and I hope you do, you can take it, you can do whatever you want with it, you can modify it, you can do whatever you need to. But on here, it shows how everything is connected to each other. And that's what all those little lines are for. But you need to come up with some type of plan that says, I'm going to start here, I'm going to commit to this, and by 5 years out, this is where I want to be. And it's okay if you don't reach your goal by the time you need to reach that goal, because some things you cannot achieve in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or even 5 years. Sometimes it'll take you 15 or 20 years to reach that goal. And that's just based on the skill sets and the knowledge and the experience required that goes along with the job. I think a lot of people get frustrated because they want to achieve something so quick. But if you achieve it too early and you don't have the skills and the experience to go along with it, that gets you into trouble, because now you're in a position where you can't handle the responsibility. And it's not necessarily your fault. You've just achieved it too quick and you just don't have the maturity or the experience to continue to perform at that level. And it's going to show. So have a plan and work your way forward. So I hope that this model was effective and it was helpful and useful for you. I know this is a much longer obvious minute that we usually do. It's probably more like a obvious 25 minutes or an obvious 10 minutes, or I don't even know what it's coming out to. But either way, I hope that, you're able to use this. I would like to ask, though, before I end, if you haven't subscribed to our podcast on Podbean or the Apple Store for podcasts, or even gone to our YouTube page or our Facebook page, please go there, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so that you can be alerted of when the next episodes are, and comment. Let me know how this was for you. Was it effective? Was it not effective? Was it distracting? Was it too much? Did the lines freak you out on the second page on the chart and you're like, I don't understand this? Let me know. Let me know what your plan is. I would love to know, because this is just a way. It's not the only way. This was just a way that's effective for me, and I've used this type of planning in my own career, and it's worked out so far so good. So it works. If it works, it works, right? So if you could take it and you can make it work, that'd be great too. So I want to thank you so much for checking out this episode and checking out this obvious minute. Check out our other ones as well too. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I'm Tim Staten, stating the obvious.